Thanks, Woody, for coming and joining us today. So can you tell me a little bit about what you do and tell us about what led you to actually come into this industry and how long you've been working in this industry?
Um, so I've been working in this industry for 5 years now, since 2019. I suppose what brought me into the industry was I always felt like it suited my personality. I've kind of always had a tendency towards like mentorship and
Hmm.
leadership roles since school. I was in the logistics industry, so I was a leading hand at a big trucking company,
Okay, yeah.
and yeah, it's sort of always been in my nature to want to work with other people or help other people.
Yep,
It's
yep,
always
yep. I think a lot of us in this industry sort of tend to um, become, mentors or support works or youth work because we've always had that personality of wanting to help others.
mm,
Um, and I guess, that's how what I started as a support work myself as well, working for young people under child protection, and then led me to the disability industry. And
yeah,
what it's been 15, probably a little bit over 15 years now. And here I am.
that's it
So yeah, so you do need, I guess, that personality to be patient,
for sure.
that caring role as well, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah. So, I guess why did you choose to become an independent support worker instead of working for a provider?
There's a lot of politics working for providers, but my main issue was that I almost felt like for the participants, it was hard to tailor their support plans
Hmm.
for what they actually want to do and what they want to achieve.
Yeah,
um, in terms of their goals, their interests can sometimes be overlooked when they're with a group.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah. True.
so that's probably the biggest thing for me to want to move into independent, um, like an independent support working role, because
Mm.
we can personalize those support plans for them. And
Okay.
I just found like sometimes in the larger groups, yeah, people's wants and needs were being glossed over or overlooked,
Yeah.
and yeah, they were missing out in certain areas.
So you do a lot more of that one-to-one supports.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep. Okay. So you talked about support plans and goals. So how do you find out what that is? What does that look like for you to be able to help them achieve those goals? Do you
Mm.
talk to the families? Do you talk to the participants?
Yeah,
What does that look like?
I think involving everyone and hearing from everyone. It's just communication, I suppose,
Mm.
um, and hearing from people that are directly involved in their support or their lives, which isn't always their parents either. It's
Yeah. Yeah.
other people that might advocate for them. But just communication's key with understanding what their needs and wants are.
Yep. Okay. With regards to recording, as a provider ourselves, it's crucial that we record everything. I guess being an independent support worker, that's a little bit different.
Mm.
So, what does that look like for you? So that other people that are watching this who wants to become an independent support worker may have a bit of an idea as to what they need to do. So, what does that look like for you? Do you send families emails? How do you record the
Yeah.
things that you guys do?
So me personally, I just stay in contact through email, but I
Mhm.
try to speak to them personally as well, once a week minimum.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, parents are busy; they're not always at home for when I come collect my clients and stuff. But at least staying in contact with emails, calls is the bare minimum.
Yeah.
Um, some people prefer to just do notes
Yeah.
and share
Yeah.
those with parents, which is pretty easy at the end of the day. You can write a few notes on how they're feeling, um, whether their goals are being worked towards and what you've done.
Hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, what do you think has been your greatest achievement in your career so far?
Probably a client that I'm working with at the moment. So we do physio appointments and regular gym appointments and stuff. He's got a personal trainer, but outside of that, his physio needs to be attended to, and he sort of needs to be guided and assisted. And seeing him and his way of life improving through helping his posture and stuff has probably been, like, off the top of my head, the most recent, success I'm sort of feeling in my career. Watching him being able to walk and get up out of bed and tie his shoes properly to where he started has probably been like the coolest thing to watch grow over the last 12 months, because we've really had a focus on his health over the last 12 months.
As we all know, it's not rainbows and butterflies working in this industry.
For sure.
I guess you can say you're dreaming if you think that that's what's going to happen, because it's not. So there's lots of challenges. There's some great things as well that happens. And I think that's where a lot of people keep coming back, because the great things that they achieve outweighs the bad things.
Definitely.
But I guess in your experience, what are some challenging issues that you've faced being an individual support workers?
Participants are humans, and they're always going to have their good days, bad days as well. For me as an independent support worker, some of the challenging things that we face is, like, all the responsibility is on us at the end of the day. We're the ones that need to make contact with parents. We're the ones that need to assess and regularly adjust plans sometimes, organize for appointments to be put in place and scheduled, and that they're going to make it on time. Sometimes the responsibility is
quite big.
Yeah, it feels big, but it's just like any other job, I suppose. But we still have to take a lot of time to reset and readjust and how we're going to approach the challenges that our participants are facing, and work with our skills, what we're skilled in, and our strengths to help them.
Yeah, no, perfect. All right. So to become an independent support worker, you need credentials, right? The same, well, you don't, not even independent support worker, just as being a support worker, you do need all your checks. So can you tell us, what are the checks that you have to have working in this industry?
So you'd probably need to do your NDIS clearance, which is your yellow card now.
Yeah.
Blue card's always good to have if you're working with children. First aid, CPR, every 3 years, 1 year.
Yeah.
And then you have your other credentials or higher education. That always helps out as well.
Yeah.
So, those are the bare minimum, really.
And do you transport clients as well in your car?
Yes.
Yeah. So I guess it's always great to ensure that you've got that insurance as well.
Yep.
In case something was to happen.
Yep.
Do you have some kind of a rule? Because I've heard some, not families, but some independent support workers have got a rule that they will only transport participants so many kilometers. Do you have a rule like that, or are you able to just transport them wherever?
So with my client, I'm pretty lucky. I've sat down with Mum. We review his funding every year and go over sort of the distances that we can go. We stay within a certain vicinity and then allow for particular days to be able to travel a bit further to the Gold Coast or something.
Yeah.
At the moment, we haven't implemented anything like that in our plans, but
that's really good, though. It seems like you're very involved, with that family and a participant. And I think that's really great that you're involved. The family is allowing you to be involved so that the communication is there right from the get-go.
Yeah.
There's no, hidden agenda
Yeah.
where sometimes it does happen. So I guess, yeah, being involved is huge. So that relationship that you have with the family, how do you keep that positive?
Staying transparent all the time and
Hmm.
letting them know your thoughts and if their plan or something and their routine needs to be reassessed, having that communication with them. I think that's the main thing, and just putting our authentic selves out there, and
Yeah, yes, absolutely.
yeah, just like I said, just being transparent, I suppose,
Yeah, yeah.
really helps.
Absolutely. I think that's a big thing, considering there's been a lot of talk about, providers, individual support workers, taking advantage of clients and their families. It's very
Yeah.
rare I guess it's very rare to find some really great support workers who's, like what you said, putting your authentic self out there. That's huge for families, considering, I guess, the trauma that they've been through.
Definitely.
So that's amazing. So the other discussion that I've had with a family member with a son with a disability was, I guess, being able to share their space, their personal space. Now, how are you able to respect that when you're going into a family's home,
Mm.
respecting their privacy, respecting their confidentiality?
Mm.
What boundaries or what do you put in place?
So I think that that's sort of a process that happens over time, is understanding their boundaries and that borderline of their personal space. When they might want some space, or they
Yeah,
might need a bit of solitude or something.
yeah,
For me personally, I think just having a good understanding of your client,
yeah,
um,
yeah,
for in terms of that borderline of professionalism, I sort of set times where it's okay to, contact me, have
yeah,
times when there's not.
yeah.
I think that comes down to, again, being transparent, um, sort of letting them know when I might be busy with other commitments and stuff.
Hmm.
Um, yeah.
Okay. No, that sounds great. So, because there has to be boundaries for you and boundaries for them.
Which can be blurred very easily as an independent support worker. Some
Yeah,
people, um, can find that really hard to tread, and then other people find it
absolutely.
very easy.
Oh, look, we've heard some terrible stories that has happened. I guess it's not a matter of sometimes you don't realize that you've crossed those boundaries until it's too
Mm,
late. And then relationships then break down,
mm,
because your work as a support worker became more of a personalized relationship than with that client or
yeah.
the families as well. Um, so I guess what advice would you give other aspiring independent support workers that's wanting to come into this industry? They've never done the work before. They've come from a different background, but they feel that they're able to help.
Mm.
What would be your biggest advice?
At the end of the day, like, this is people's lives that we're dealing with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's a lot of ethics and responsibility thrown into that. So I think treating this job with a lot of professionalism and having a lot of empathy can really help when
Yeah.
starting out.
Yeah.
And for anyone who is thinking of starting in the industry, is to absorb and learn as much as you can um, in the beginning, so that you can equip yourself to make a change and not be another one of these horror stories that we sort of hear of, um, which we hear of a lot, I
Yeah.
suppose.
Yeah. Yeah.
And just remembering what skills we have as well and what we are equipped to handle.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't want to delve into the deep end immediately, but just knowing our limits to begin
Yeah.
with.
Slowly work yourself into it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 I think like anything, experience is going to help over time, and working
Mm.
with a vast variety of challenges that people face will equip you more over time.
Yeah. I forgot to ask. So, when you first started in this industry, were you working for a provider or did you go straight into independent support work?
Yeah, so I started with a provider
Yeah.
to begin with, which I actually wanted to do just to gain some confidence and, um, like gain some skills and
Yeah.
some knowledge around some different challenges that other people face.
Yeah.
So I got to work with people with, who are mentally challenged and
Yeah.
physically challenged, and
Yeah.
um, yeah, that was just to equip myself. And then
So,
I was just
how long did you do that for before you decided to go out on your own?
so I did that for 2 years,
Oh, yeah,
and then
that's quite a good time to get
yeah,
that experience.
yeah, understanding what kind of services can be offered, and
Yeah.
um, yeah, it was nice to have a look at how it all works, so that when I did become independent,
Mm.
I could I kind of knew what to offer
Yeah.
or what I wanted to offer, what I was good at, and what I was willing to offer as well.
Yeah. So, what services do you predominantly provide?
So I do a little bit of in-home, and then I mainly do community access.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, and like I said, I suppose that works to my strengths. Um, and yeah, doing a sort of a mentorship role
Mm.
with my current client at the moment.
Yeah.
And yeah, community access
Yeah.
seems to keep the young boys happy.
Yeah. Yeah. Get their energy out.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, they need to.
Yeah, yeah. So prior to you joining up My Solace, how were you finding your participants?
I wasn't. I mean, it's a bit of a wild, wild west, like going through Facebook pages
Yeah.
and
Is that working for you though?
no,
Not
not
really.
really. No.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
I guess it's because there's a lot of independent support workers out there as well that are putting themselves out there looking
yeah,
for work.
yeah, it could definitely feel oversaturated. I
Yeah,
mean, I actually like have empathy for participants trying to find support workers in those sort of places because um, this can be so unreliable. There's not really any
yeah,
accountability.
yeah,
Working through an app like My Solace, um, your credentials are verified,
yeah,
so participants don't need to worry about things like that.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it can be pretty challenging, and sorting through messages would be a bit of a hassle, I could
Oh,
imagine.
absolutely.
Mm,
And I guess there's also a lot of trolls that goes
yeah,
on that Facebook sites as well.
definitely.
Because I'm on there too, and I watch as I'm scrolling. There could be a post 3 hours ago, and there's about 30 to 40
Mm,
providers or individual support workers constantly saying I'm
mm,
available, I've got this, I've got that. Trying to go through all those messages, like what you said, can be a bit overwhelming. Then
mm.
you've got to do the whole interview as well.
Yep.
You've got to make contact with them. So it's like interviewing for a job, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. It's a
Yeah.
bit of a McDonald's on the Facebook pages.
McDonald's.
McDonald's, yeah.
Oh,
Like,
oh,
I mean, there's not a lot of like humanity in some of the
yeah,
messages. As
yeah,
yeah, like yeah, bit crazy out there.
yeah. It is a little bit. It is a little bit. But look, I I think, I take my hat off to you for doing the work that you do. I've done your work. I've become an individual support workers. I've worked for providers. And I love working with participants.
Mm,
That's always been my biggest thing
as do
is
I.
the fun that we have, just making their day so fulfilling, I
Mm,
think is huge. That itself is already,
fulfilling.
fulfilling
Yeah.
day. Do you know what I mean? As a support worker.
Mm,
There is one more thing that I do want to ask is something that's obviously really, really important. So when it comes to billing your participant, so how do you do that so that again, people watching this can get a bit of an idea of how do I charge my participants? How do I know how to set my rate?
mm.
So what is it that you do when it comes to that?
So if I was to approach a new client and establish pay rates and stuff like that. Just discussing with the family what sort of hourly rate that they can allow
Mm-hmm.
fits with their funding packages, and then also remembering, like I said, what we're actually skilled in and what we can offer
Yeah.
and bring to the table as well is a big thing. I see a lot of independent support workers throwing some big numbers out there and they've only been doing it for a year.
Yeah.
I think we just need to, um, take our own skills into consideration
Mm-hmm.
when coming up with those figures. And when billing, I'm currently using like an app to invoice. I mean, there's so many out there now. People
Yeah.
use Zero to invoice.
Yeah.
Henry,
Yeah.
all sorts of apps where you can sort of automate those invoices
Okay.
and customize them, add the item numbers and
Yeah.
whatnot. So I'm using an app at the moment, but
Yeah.
previously I sort of just used the free app on my phone to
Okay.
invoice, and I
Yeah.
would always be transparent with families as well and
Mm-hmm.
send them a copy
Yeah.
before sending it off to providers. I think it's important.
Yeah.
Mm.
Okay, perfect. So you're billing the plan manager, or is it the family? Because there's self-manage and there's plan manage as well.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
me personally at the moment, I'm billing the plan manager.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. Perfect. But you're also giving a copy to the
Yeah,
families.
I've chosen
Yeah,
to
I think that's
do that.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they most of the time anyway, plan managers need to get approval from families.
Yeah.
So if you already have that, then at least, there's no back and forth. Has
Yeah.
there ever been a circumstances where you haven't been paid for the work that you've done?
I've heard a lot of stories of that happening, but
Yeah.
I'm fortunate I haven't had that
Fingers
happen yet.
crossed, hey, it doesn't happen
Yeah,
to
fingers
you. Yeah,
crossed.
yeah.
Yeah, I've been pretty lucky with my clients so far.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, because there are circumstances out there where participants' funding has run out,
Yep.
families are not aware, and then when you go and bill,
Mm.
they can't pay you. So I guess in that regard, like you've been really, really lucky. What would be your advice so that you don't get unpaid because you still have bills to pay?
Mm.
You've provided services.
Mm.
What would be your advice for that
Um,
not to happen or try to avoid?
yeah, I suppose just having a history of your conversations and having a support plan in place
Yeah.
or an
Yes.
idea of what you want your support plan to look like
Yeah.
can be a good insurance that you're going to get
Yeah.
paid.
Yeah. Perfect. Perfect. Well, thank you, Woody.
Welcome.
It was fantastic to have you on board. And yeah, hopefully we can bring you back in for another podcast later on.
Hopefully.
But yeah, no, thank you so much. That was
Thank you
a
for
really,
having
really
me.
good insight for, people wanting to be an independent support worker.
No worries. Yeah.
Thanks.